here on the ride home from Chattanooga 70.3. Brittany's 4th time through the race. My 3rd. She's got a medal to prove it. Here is the race recap. Ready to go.
Okay. Okay. So, let's see. This is my 4th time. Okay, we knew going in that this was going to be a hot race. Because Chattanooga is always hot. They turn on the heat. And we had not, even though we live in Florida, people might think we're heat acclimated, but we were not, because it had not gotten hot down here yet. So we had several strategies going into the race that were going to help us, but I'll talk about that later. But first, so Chattanooga is, I think it's the biggest 70.3 in the U.S., isn't it?
I don't know if it's the biggest.
It is one of the biggest.
Yeah.
And historically, it's always been like closer to 3,000. I think it was, was it 27?
27-ish.
So it's like massive transition area and a ton of athletes. And so a couple things with this race, we always make sure to start the swim as soon as possible, because depending on where you line up, you can start an hour later than other people. It's crazy. So we always start as soon as we can. And sometimes the water, every time we've done it, has been wet and legal, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's always on the edge. This was 73.
Yep.
And we had swam in the dam the day before, so it was feeling a little bit warm, but it was legal on the day, and not hardly any current. Like, we walked. That's another thing we did differently this year, is our coach encouraged us to walk. Why are you laughing? To walk instead of waiting for the shuttle buses, because it's just a good way to warm up. It was like 25 minutes, just walk up the road to the swim start, and you get to warm up a little bit. It's just a little bit like calm and relaxing. You get to see the water, and we saw that the kayakers were literally sitting still with their paddles like across their laps, so we knew there was going to be little to no current assist, so just fine. But we started together, and I think that it was one of my best like swims that wasn't a current assisted swim, so that was great. But I didn't necessarily, even though I swam pretty fast, I didn't feel like I feel super strong or anything. My arms were a little bit achy and kind of sore. I kind of didn't get in my groove until like the last 10 minutes. Wasn't a lot of traffic. That's a good thing, is because the Tennessee River is so wide. There's so much room for people to spread out. And so I just kind of the middle of the river has the strongest current, so we just kind of stay in the middle, kind of right along the buoy line. And I only kind of bumped into a couple people, but it was pretty clear water the whole time. How was your swim experience?
Yeah, it was good. Similar thing. I stayed kind of as central of the river as I could, and just to be able to find my rhythm and things. Since swimming and I have sometimes had a love-hate relationship, but had a good swim and didn't have any episodes where I had to stop. Or
what's one of your things? Because you historically he has not always liked open water swimming, which is a thing that's very common for people. So what are like 1 or 2 strategies that you do to help?
Well, I've done a lot of like that motivational self-talk, and just kind of reminding myself that we train for this and we're strong and we know how to swim. And then the other thing is, I like to kind of do a nice easy count when I'm just counting strokes. It just gives my brain something else to focus on.
So you do like count 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yep.
like over. Okay. And so actually, who got out of the water first?
I did.
So he was I like when he gets out, because I want to know he's out of the water and good. So he was at his rack when I ran up putting his stuff on. And then our friend Claire, who, this was a lot of fun, because we had we stayed together in an Airbnb. So she came in on Thursday. We picked her up. She came from Illinois, and she flew in. So she stayed with us, and we were all racked together. So she was right next to us. And so she had just left. And then one of our teammates, Jen, was a little bit further down, and I saw her running out, and then Matt head out. I took a little bit longer in transition, because this was one of our first cooling strategies, was I had to put on cooling like arm sleeves, because I needed them for the run. And the whole plan was, if you're going to be on the bike like close to 3 hours anyways, you want to like keep your body cool, not just on the run, but headed into the run. So when I pour water on myself at aid stations, then they stay cool. So that was something I did. Took me a little bit longer, but because my arms were wet, but not a big deal. However, I did drop my bike coming out, which I've never done that before, coming out of transition, just like down a little hill, and I was slippery and wet, and it just slipped out of my hands. Luckily, it just landed on the side on the pedal, so my pedal got a little scuffed up, but I did take a couple extra like seconds and check to make sure my bottle cages and everything were secure, because the start of the bike course, what's on the start of the bike course?
A mile in the railroad tracks that claim many a bottle.
Yeah, they have like did they even have a carpet over it this year? They always put something over top of it, but it doesn't really help, so you just have to slow down. You just can't go fast, and because bottles fly everywhere and you don't want to lose your bottles at the beginning of your bike. So everyone was good. I don't think anyone lost bottles, but the bike course is beautiful here, but really no matter when you start on it, you're gonna get traffic for the first 15 miles.
Yeah, I mean, until it spaces out, there's
Yeah. So probably the trickiest part of the bike course is not tricky, but like the worst road conditions are at the very beginning. So there's rough road, like kind of potholes going through St. Elmo, right? And then once you hit the Georgia line,
that gets a lot better.
the pavement automatically changes and it's beautiful. And then you kind of hit it's flat for a while, and then you hit like rolling hills. But this is the part of the bike that is the busiest and most congested, because you haven't gone to the hills yet, which tend to separate people. So what was your experience like? Because you get to the front of the bike a little bit sooner than me. So did you have packs or any traffic? Or
I mean, definitely traffic, and so just had to work your way through, especially going up hills and things. But honestly,
uneventful.
Yeah, it was relatively straightforward as far as, it was kind of smart passing, watching for people who are being unsafe, and going from there.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of my girlfriends, and we all had a little bit of challenges for some reason at this race with some guys on the bike, just either not wanting to let us pass, which technically if an athlete comes alongside of you and attempts to pass, you can't speed up and not let them pass. That's kind of and so that happened a couple times, which gets annoying. And then just kind of some people who don't really know how to ride the bike, so they ride in the left side, which you're not allowed to do either, instead of on the right. And so those things kind of can make it a little bit unsafe, so just trying to get away from people that don't really clearly know what they're doing. But I felt like my goal for this one was to do my terrain management really well. So that's what our coaches call it. And on a rolling course, just trying to ride steady up the hills, but not spike your power. And then, once you get to the top, really pushing the downhills, because that's when you get gravity and free speed. And so that was my goal, was to do terrain management, and so it's the fastest bike with the least possible effort. And I feel like I did really well. I felt super strong, and I kind of glanced down at my power, and it was a lot higher than it normally is, my normalized power, which I felt pretty good, so that was okay. And I think I hit kind of a patch maybe around 45 where I started was getting a little side cramp, and so kind of had to back off a little bit. But other than that, I think the bike went pretty good. Didn't get through my nutrition, which was not awesome. I think I was a whole bottle shy, so was a little bit concerned about that. So I had extra gel, actually. That was a good tip that my coach gave me. If you are running a little shy on the fluid, which is where our carbohydrates, and we had extra gel there, so I could just get a little more carbs. Fun things on the bike we saw was a pasture full of hundreds of mini goats.
That's right, yeah. A lot of them.
Of 50 lots of mini goats, 10 little tiny goats. And Matt saw them, but he did not see the little old man with the super long beard sitting in his lawn chair in the middle of the tiny goats. So that was awesome. And the people, it's farmland, so there aren't a whole lot of spectators, but there are definitely people out taking pictures of us. When you pass by farmhouses, there was a couple sitting, and they had a sign, and it said, "We love iron people," which is fun. We're not iron people. But let's see, you had a really good bike. It was your best bike, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was just solid all around. My legs felt good, and ended up kind of having two or three other guys that would pass me. I'd pass them, and so it kind of felt like we just kind of kept cycling around, and each one of us setting a pace.
Yeah.
So that was fun. It was like the pros as they cycle and do that.
Yeah, sometimes you kind of get hooked up with people who are kind of going similar speed to you, which is okay as long as you stay, like the 6 bike lengths back. But sometimes, like, there was a lady who was faster on the hills than me, and I was faster on the flats than her, so we would kind of flip-flop, and she would go by me, she's like, Tag, you're it. And so that's fun when you can kind of talk to people on course a little bit. And then got in off the bike, and we were very blessed because leading up to Chattanooga, the 2 days up there were actually, it was kind of cold, which was crazy, but we knew it was going to get really hot on race day. We had seen the high was supposed to be 90, but it was going to be that after we were done. So we were hoping by the time we were supposed to get done, so we were hoping that it wasn't going to be too incredibly hot. The first lap felt pretty comfortable to me, and then the second lap started to get hot. And the run course was a little different this year. How is it different?
Well, the Walnut Street Bridge, which is the pedestrian bridge that has like wood planks, was closed for refurbishment.
Yeah,
so.
The giant, if you've been to Chattanooga, it's the big blue bridge. So we technically have, I like this course because it's split apart into 4 sections. So you have part along the highway, which is all in the sun. You have the part that goes along the river on a walkway over a little bridge, and it's wooded, shaded. That's nice. Then you get to the main hill, which is Battery Hill, which is short and steep. You go across the Veterans Bridge, which is the bridge across to the North Shore and all the American flags on it. And then you go around on that side of the bridge, then come back over Walnut Street and then do the second loop. But because of the work on the Walnut Street Bridge, they just had us go around Veterans, go underneath, and come back up and come over. So it actually wasn't bad. Our coach was very adamant to make sure that we walked aid stations and we got ice and water because it was going to get hot, so trying to delay like that heat fatigue as long as possible. And to be really smart, she was like, do not push the pace on the first lap. If you feel like you're pushing, you need to like stop. You need to like back it off, like slow down. So I really made sure to do that. And we had super fun new things that we wore on the run. What do we wear?
Yes, we had our ice hats.
Huh?
Yep. So that way it's
What
got
is an ice hat?
It's got a little pocket in the front of the hat where you can shove little pieces of ice.
Yeah.
To help keep you cool.
Yes, it was awesome. They're from Bamboo Works. So we did a lot of things. I had that hat. I had the cooling sleeves on. So every time I went through aid station, kind of the procedure is pour cold water on my arm sleeves, and that stays wet. And then ice goes in the ice hat. I had a neck towel, which is this material that is kind of like a chamois, and so it is super hard as a board, and then you get it wet and it gets squishy and it like holds the water. So I had that in a plastic bag and I had frozen it. So that was in transition. Also different, we have not done, which our coach suggested, we froze our run bottles. So we each have a 20-ounce flask that we put in our run belt, and we froze those because by the time of the run, I mean, they were still pretty frozen for the first, 10, 15 minutes? Or longer than that for you?
Longer than that for me.
Yeah. I mean, you could still drink a little.
Cooler open for you guys.
Yeah. You drink a little bit of it, and our friend, because she was all right next to us, we had a tiny little cooler. We just stuck all the run bottles in a little zipper cooler, pulled them out, and then we left. And that was like a total game changer for me because I've had a little issues in the past with drinking nutrition while running, and it being cold was such a big help. And then also when it was time to refill the bottle, we have our run belt, we have powder in a Ziploc bag for the second, hour, whatever you need of nutrition. Like walk through aid station, put the powder in and fill it up with water, and then we just grab a bunch of ice, stuff it in, and then seal up the bottle, shake it, and just keep running. So then you have ice cold to drink again, which makes that was like, I hadn't done that before, and that was a total like game changer. I drank more than I have ever drank, which is such a big thing, not just for like preventing dehydration, but then also keeping you cool, preventing you from overheating, like starts from the inside. So that was really cool. Let's see, favorite part of the run. Go.
Coming down the final hill to the finish line.
It is. So it's what did Marnie say? Like your race is over at 12.7 miles, right?
which is a bit deceiving. I mean, you have the hill,
because
but then you get to the bottom of the hill,
You
and
do
you
have to
still
run-
have
yeah.
almost a quarter mile until you finish.
So it is a very long downhill, which you do have to do on the way up. So we had to take that really easy. But on the way down, it is just downhill all the way to the finish, which is fun. One of my favorite parts, I love the shaded section along the river because that's really pretty. And also they had the best aid station back there, which was like safari themed. So they had little like plastic monkeys hanging from the trees. They had like a tiger in the woods, like big stuffed animals, giraffes. They had music, they had bubbles. It was awesome. And they had the best volunteers. So funny things that happened to us during the race. A couple things with volunteers. There was this one volunteer who was super fun. She would like, Shelly grabbed water from her and she like looks you in the eye. She's like, I am so proud of you. I'm like, that's very intense. So I was like, it was very kind. But also weird thing happened to me coming out of the swim. They have like a like kind of like a ladder, and people are like helping you up out of the water. So the guy grabbed my arm, which is normal. You get out. He reached around and like started to unzip my wetsuit, which kind of caught me off guard because that's never happened before. So when I'm running, I normally have a routine. I reach over with one arm, pull it down, and he did it, and I didn't know where the zipper was. So I fumbled with it for a good like 30 seconds. So he was trying to help. It didn't really help. But you had a...
They unzipped mine all the way down, so I'm like, oh, that's nice. And we're done. So
What else? You had something weird happen on the run.
Well, so they had at one of the aid stations these kind of scoops that had big thing of ice, and someone asked me, do you want ice? I said yes, and I went to hold out my hands for ice. Unbeknownst to me, his plan was different. He took the ice, grabbed the back of my kit, and dumped it down the back of my kit as a giant thing of ice, which
You're like,
was
oh boy.
refreshing and shocking. Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
Always fun things when but the volunteers there are great. I feel like, and they were working like so hard. We saw on the second lap, we're getting ready to be done. And as I'm like headed down, there were a lot of spectators there. And I was praying for the people that were starting the run because it was starting to get really hot at that point. I felt real bad for them. And the aid stations, I mean, they were struggling to get water out for us. So you get all these athletes that kind of descend like locusts on like an aid station. Everyone's like, water, ice. And they were unloading like trucks of ice on the second lap. So Chattanooga is always great, and we like racing there. And everyone did awesome. I think we had we had like 3 people who won their age groups, right? We had a couple top 10, a couple top 15, and then Matt was... You were 23rd.
23rd in the age group.
In his age group, and I was 22nd in my age group. So it was, I mean, our first, long distance race of the year, and to be like really hot. And so we had talked to our coaches going, and we're like, this is not, like shoot for like super high performance race. This is like try out all your things and be steady and like get back into racing. And I was super happy. I was really pleased with this one. It was my best bike power that I've held, like by far, like by a lot. So that was really exciting too. And the first time I've ever felt like just super steady on the run. And it was not my fastest run, but it wasn't a fast run and then drop off really bad at the end, which historically has been kind of something I struggle with. It was just really steady, which made me very happy. So we are about 45 minutes from home, 6-hour drive from Chattanooga. We dropped off Claire, our friend, at the airport at 5 this morning. So it's been 2 mornings of getting up at like 4:15. So we're both a little delusional, but we just wanted to do a recap. So on to the next one. Bye. Say bye, Matt.
Bye, Matt.